going to start recording now, if that's okay with you.
Okay.
And all right. Hello, and welcome to Miss Sheila Abramson, who is running for a seat on the District 207 School Board in the April 4th, 2023 consolidated election. Thank you for participating in this candidate interview, Ms. Abramson. I will be asking a variety of questions, which were developed in a collaboration between the Maine West Westerner student newspaper and Pi Sigma Pi Social Science Honor Society in conjunction with Speak Displays. You will have 2 minutes to share your answer to each one. When the 2 minutes have passed, I ask that you only take a few seconds to finish your thought so that we can move to the next question. Let's start with question 1. We would like to know, how will you include student perspectives when making decisions about academics, extracurriculars, block scheduling, and other aspects of daily life at school? How will you connect with and understand students' priorities?
Thank you so much, Carolina, for having me and for your great question. And I really do value student perspectives and voice. And I think that really starts with my role as an educator, but also a social worker. So most of my career has actually been spent working with adolescents, with students, and really focuses on centering students' voices, listening to those voices, and of course, advocating for them. As a current school board member, I do ensure that student voices are heard. We value student voices because the work I do is essentially for you. The voices of students are central, and they should be included in major decisions that impact them. So I do support ongoing feedback being elicited from students, and I also encourage spaces for students to share their voices, whether it be surveys, student forums, or even students being invited to board and committee meetings. As a parent, I actually have a child at Maine West, and so utilizing them as a resource for information, their friends and peers, and also being involved in being in other spaces with students, family members, to whether that be games, concerts, or other events in the community or at the school. And of course, as a community member, being out in the community, being able to talk to students, talking to families, and also my role on Speak Displays has also allowed me to meet with students. We collaborate very closely with some current students, as well as done some events at the school. So that's my way of making sure students' perspectives are heard.
All right, thank you for your reply. I will now reset the timer. We will now turn to our second question. Again, you'll have 2 minutes to provide your answer. Our second question is, how will you hear from teachers and staff about what works best to make their classes successful?
Thank you. So as I mentioned earlier, in addition to being a social worker, I'm also an educator. I actually teach at Dominican University in their social work program. So as a teacher myself, I really acknowledge the assets, the strengths, the skills that teachers bring, especially the teachers at District 207. I want to make sure that I acknowledge and value their hard work, their dedication, commitment. And I also want to just highlight, the last few years of the pandemic have been especially challenging. And I do see teachers going above and beyond and making sure their students are successful, not only academically, but also in regard to their social and emotional health. I do acknowledge that the challenges of the pandemic can still be felt as teachers and staff continue to support students, creating stability and consistency. I'm always open to hearing from teachers and staff and have seen them and continue to encourage them to attend board and committee meetings. Recently, I also had an opportunity for coffee with the teachers and really want to advocate for future events like this. And during that opportunity, I got to meet teachers and staff, many who have been with us for years with a great deal of knowledge and experience, but also new teachers who bring new energy, new practices, and understandings of students. And while this was an opportunity to voice challenges and concerns, it was also an opportunity where they shared what's working in their classroom and their methods and strategies of making sure their students are successful.
Thank you for your answer. Please take the next 2 minutes to respond to our third question. For the third question, we'd like for you to explain to voters, what are your biggest priorities with regards to spending the school district's budget?
Thank you. And another really important question. So in regards to spending the budget, I really do. That's kind of informed by my identity as not only a social worker, but also a parent in the community. I believe very strongly in students' overall well-being, and I really want to see spending focused in the area to support mental health and social and emotional needs of our students. This is a definite priority, and I believe that overall well-being impacts a student's ability to be successful in school. Again, the pandemic has definitely increased the need for mental health support, especially for adolescents. As a social worker, I've seen difficulty accessing services in the community due to whether it's insurance, whether it's availability, or even wait lists. So I would like to see more of those resources go to supporting students and families in schools. I've actually had the honor to work with Maine West Student and Family Services Department, and I want to acknowledge that they do amazing work. They recognize, they respond to the entire well-being of our students, including their cultural, social, emotional, and developmental needs through their services and programs. But there is still a growing number of students and families in our community that need more support, and we need more resources. So whether it's current families or even new families that are coming in every day. The reality is that we have a very diverse district in race, ethnicity, culture, but also socioeconomic status. So there is a need for spending to include creating programs, increasing access to services, having cultural and linguistic resources available, as well as supporting, maintaining, and growing the existing student and family services department. And this can be done through hiring more mental health professionals, but also more importantly, supporting the current staff and program and the staff that have dedicated themselves to the service of our students and their families.
All right. Thank you so much for your answer. I would like for you to now consider a fourth question. The fourth question is, there are plans to detrack additional classes in District 207. Do you believe this is the best path for students at all levels in this district?
Thank you. So as a current member of the board, I can say that the board has been super engaged on this topic and have had many opportunities to ask questions and even have more comprehensive discussions to build a better understanding of what detracking is and why we're doing it. I do believe that detracking is not taking away from students, but rather allowing greater access to a larger number of students that did not have access to specific courses previously. Ultimately, what it comes down to is that this is an equity issue. Data from our districts has shown that this has disproportionately impacted students of color. It doesn't allow them to access, whether it be honors courses or things like that, due to things like standardized testing, which have also been shown to affect students of color disproportionately as well. So it's really important for us to think about this as a way of increasing that access for our students. I do believe and do support increasing access for students. This will allow for more students than we have seen in the past to access advanced, rigorous courses in their high school career. And it also supports the mission of making sure all students are college and career ready. I think math is a great example of that, and detracking math across the district has been extremely successful. It's allowed for more students, especially students of color, to access accelerated courses across the district, and data has shown these improvements for students. And this includes increased student competence, as well as enrollment of students in rigorous math courses moving forward in their career. I do want to say that it's important that as we detrack future courses, that they will be subject to comprehensive oversight, which includes monitoring, evaluating through multiple measures, providing support and coaching to teachers, with much of this training beginning in 2018. And of course, listening to the experiences of teachers as well as students to inform and improve the process as we go.
All right. Thank you for your explanation. For our fifth question, we would like to know, given that the demographics at each school are very different both economically and culturally, how will you ensure that all students will receive an equal education, regardless of zip code?
Great. Thank you so much. And you know what? I have to say that this is one of the main reasons that I ran for D207 4 years ago. I felt that there was a real need to represent our Des Plaines community. And up until like the last few months, I have been the only representative of the Des Plaines community. So being able to represent our community and our very diverse families is so important. I'll also say, as a social worker, it's really important to take a comprehensive, holistic look at student learning. And this comes with an understanding that school is one part of who you are as a student, and there are various identities and experiences that impact student learning. I feel that bringing my own diverse identities to the role and having worked in the community and with diverse students and families in my career, I can bring perspectives of and acknowledge various lived experiences and situations. And that's allowed me to advocate for equity in learning for our students in D207. So for example, like understanding a student's economic background is really important. You need to know what resources are available to them, their ability to access those resources, as well as the various responsibilities and roles that they may hold in addition to being a student. So think of the student who has a job, the student who takes care of siblings because parents need to work, or they have busy family members or are struggling financially. Being able to truly know a student opens the doors to accessing resources and supporting the student to be successful. Culturally, we live in a very diverse community here in Des Plaines, so having a curriculum that's responsive to one's culture and allows for students to see themselves and connect with the material is so significant. As students come from various backgrounds and identities, their learning should also reflect the diversity and showcase multiple perspectives and lived experiences. Even as a member of the D207 board and the chair of the education committee, I do support and reinforce learning that's culturally responsive, and have even taken the time to read and explore what's presented, whether that be novels, books, resources, things like that.
Thank you for sharing your views. We will turn now to our final question of the day. Please share with voters your opinion in response to this question. What can be done to promote equity in schools, especially with regards to race, sexual identity, and gender identity?
Thank you. So I truly believe in order to promote equity, it's important to create an environment where students feel safe, confident, and can be who they truly are, where they are. Promoting equity in the schools includes a variety of things on various levels: education and training. It requires advocating, standing up for, and protecting students from discrimination based on race, gender, or LGBTQIA+ identities. Being aware and responsive to school culture and to policies on various levels, the district, the school, and the classroom, that may directly or indirectly exclude or harm students based on race, gender, or sexual identity is really important to be responsive to. I believe promoting equity also requires building and prioritizing a sense of community in the school through genuine and actionable strategies that promote inclusion and respect. This should span the entire school community, from the students to the teachers to the staff and administrators. I also believe promoting equity is important in curriculum and activities at the schools, but also the district level. We must show that we stand in solidarity with and will support student groups to engage, support, advocate, and promote diversity and inclusion of all their shared racial, sexual, or gender identities. Promoting and embedding curriculum where they see themselves is also important via racial, sexual, and gender identities, and also, supporting events that celebrate those identities, like Pride Fest, like Hispanic Heritage Month and Black History Month, but not only during those designated times, but really all through the year. So I really do support that promotion and support for these current groups that exist at the schools. And I want to continue to give them space to engage, support, and advocate for themselves and others.
All right. That concludes our interview questions. If voters would like more information about your platform or plans, what would be the best way to find out more details?
Sure. I would love for people to reach out to me. They can reach out to me via my email. My email address is SheilaAbramson@gmail.com. That's SheilaAbramson@gmail.com.